Hi there, welcome to another video. So this is a bit of a different idea. I've not really played Minecraft in a while, so I thought, while just exploring the game, having a bit of fun, I would want to sort of discuss a little bit about the videos I've made in the past year, because if you didn't know, I'm basically a celebrity. Yeah, I've made a decent number of video essays in the past year. Um, I've got two two videos, maybe? Yeah, two videos, I think. Yeah, two videos which got over 13k views. So I don't know. I feel like even if I don't entirely know what I'm talking about, at the very least I can talk about my experiences, talk about what I've learned, what's went well, what's not. Because, yeah, while I've not had tons of, I've not had tons of success and, it's not my primary focus, I feel like I have ended up learning quite a bit from, I feel like I've learned quite a bit from this whole video making business. Let's try that. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about my experience with it, why I began, why I did all of this. And yeah, I thought that this would be quite a nice format to just sort of talk about it in. So, for those who don't know, I would consider my video making journey properly starting with my Kai video, the Kai video essay. Now, this was an idea that I'd wanted to make for quite a long time, but I think that it was at that point where it was like, okay, I really want to make something. I specifically really wanted to make videos on Kai and Garmadon because I felt like it was a weird thing that, despite being around for basically a decade, or almost a decade at that point, Ninjago hadn't really received much in terms of video stuff. Like, people would occasionally make retrospectives, people would occasionally do news videos on it, but there was very little in terms of analytical Ninjago content on YouTube, like videos and stuff. So I guess I kind of wanted to be that change, um, even if it was just a small thing. I wasn't planning on revolutionizing things or anything. Um, so yeah, I decided to actually pick video making back up again, really try my hand at it, really try and make something of it. And what I learned very quickly was it's very hard to do things if you have absolutely no idea where to start. So the way that I ended up constructing that video involved a lot of me analyzing videos that I liked, kind of getting a bit of a feel for the structure. What did they do in terms of adding in footage? Where did they put the most time in? What kind of things did they do to make the most of their runtime? I think that at the time, the ones that really inspired me were quite obviously the real Jims. His Simpson content, his videos are so fun. They have this dry deadpan humor which I absolutely adore. Um, yeah, so that was a massive inspiration. I think that his use of editing with just still images was really, really clever because I feel like it's very, very easy to over edit things or to under edit things, but I think he strikes this perfect balance where practically the majority of what he puts on screen are just screenshots that he thinks of interesting ways to transition between them. And I think that's fascinating. I think he does a really good job particularly when you have to try and analyze it through this lens of he does a really, really good job of just very methodically, carefully making things transition in just a way where it feels right, you know? It doesn't feel like I'm it doesn't feel like you're being lurched around. You don't feel sick because he's very, very good at that natural progression of the video editing. And I think that's one thing that I learned pretty quickly. It's very, very easy to it's very easy to end up kind of over editing it, doing too much, doing too little. Oh, this is cool. Ah, I like this. This is cute. So yeah, there's that. The other one that really inspired me was the Unlucky Tug. He primarily does Thomas the Tank Engine content, and oh man, I think that he is a really cool story of someone who seemingly sort of fell out of love with the series. I don't know if that's true, but there was a period of time where he'd upload videos about this series, then he kind of vanished, and then he became the most popular YouTuber in the fandom. And yeah, I think that his method of approaching the of character stories, of exploring the world, I think that it was a really, really cool way to show that anyone can, with enough time, with enough effort, with enough patience, with enough, I don't know, grit maybe, that they could become a YouTuber and that they could make some really incredible stuff. Because if you look, it's a shame because his channel got deleted and now a bunch of his older videos aren't saved. But if you looked at the contrast between some of those earlier videos that he had compared to the ones he made once he sort of made his return, the guy is just completely overhauled his style. And I just think that is a serious testament to his skill. Yeah, where was I going with this? This was how I got into video editing and making that first video. It took me a long time, and I think that one of the things that I struggled the most with was recording the actual voice part. I had not really done all that much audio recording before this point. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Is that cobblestone? Oh, it's like a ruined portal. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so I think that in general, how do I put it? Recording my voice was probably one of the most difficult parts of that video because, you know, regardless of how I scripted things, I could script, I could edit. I'd done those things before, but recording my voice was like entirely new. And yeah, it was tough. It wasn't something that came naturally to me at all. My voice, particularly in those early videos, was particularly wooden because I didn't really know how to structure a script to make it feel more natural. I didn't really know what to do. So a lot of that first video came from me doing take after take after take. And this was all in the span of maybe like 2 or 3 hours. And I remember my voice went completely hoarse, and I don't know, it was weird. I had this weird, I still kind of do, this weird mental block of I don't really want to record when other people are in the house. While I don't think I'm completely over that, I've definitely got better at being more willing to do it when other people are around. But I still think I feel most comfortable expressing my voice when other people aren't really around. So yeah, I ended up stitching together a bunch of my different takes, which isn't super noticeable in the final product, but that's mainly because it all sounds so samey. It sounds very wooden. But overall, I think I'm really proud of how the Kai video turned out because that was the first time I really had a vision for something in video form, and I feel like I'd developed that successfully, that I'd made that what I wanted. And I think that was a really special feeling because even outside of the fact that it blew up relatively compared to what most beginner YouTubers get, I really liked rewatching it. And I think if nothing else, that's one thing you should do if you do end up making videos is make it something that you'd like to watch. Like maybe you'll find your voice cringe, that's fine. But for me personally, I like those kind of analysis videos. I like what do you call it? I like long rambly videos. I'm the kind of guy who likes this sort of stuff. So I think ultimately that is the ethos that I have kind of stuck to. So yeah, and another thing that I learned very early on, which I think is a really cool skill actually, which I think that more people should know if they want to get into this stuff, is that what's it called? You can do quite a lot with only a few tools. Like, so long as you use them creatively, I don't think there's anything you can't do with this stuff. So, for example, I think that predominantly the skills that I ended up using for this first video was video editing. So, how to put clips into a timeline, how to cut clips down, how to trim things when you want to. And so there was video editing, there was audio editing, so reducing the background noise, cutting and pasting the clips. You can see a bit of a pattern here. Like, a lot of the stuff that I developed weren't, they weren't massive tasks, but they were foundational stuff. Like, this stuff can really leave an impact. And yeah, so there was that. There was audio editing, video editing. Shit, what was it? Keyframing. Keyframing images is one of the most underappreciated skills in video editing because this is how people do those things where they have a meme that zooms in, zooms out, or rotates around. Like, all of that stuff is keyframing, and no one talks about it. I think that in some ways, me picking the Real Gyms was a great first choice for learning how to do keyframing because that man uses so many keyframing things for his audio and visual transitions. And yeah, I really felt like I learned a lot in that first video. It wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. I think that my biggest gripe with that video is partly it did significantly better than any of my other video essay stuff. And that is not to discredit the other videos, because I really like my other videos. However, I do think that it was sort of the perfect storm. It came out at a time where people, I think, were really wanting new Ninjago content, new Ninjago videos. It came at a time where YouTube was undergoing some changes where you would begin to see more and more smaller channels. That was what I noticed at the time. So I really think that I'd made the most of that. But I also have a sneaking suspicion that it was partly because it was so similar to the Real Gym style that it ended up kind of, that was kind of the thing that ended up boosting my, I think that's the thing that ended up boosting it as well. The fact that it was in the style of another creator. And that's not bad, that's not wrong, it's just, For me personally, as someone who wants to develop their own voice, their own style, the whole idea of mimicry is how I learn. That's part of the process that I feel encourages me and helps me learn new processes. But at the same time, it does kind of feel weird if your most successful video is based around, how do I put it? It doesn't feel great when your greatest performing video is in the style of someone else. You know? I don't think it's wrong that it did what it did, but it's definitely something that I'm hoping that one day I can surpass with one of my scripted videos. Um, but yeah, I think I enjoyed myself with it. So next up, I want to kind of talk about some of my future plans. This is pretty vague, and you know, if you've seen my videos, you'll probably know what I'm going to be mentioning. Um, but yeah, I feel like this year is probably going to be a bit of a weird year for videos. I don't really have any definitive plans because this is an important year for me in terms of life, in terms of stuff I need to do. I'm in my final year of university, so there's quite a lot revolving around what I need to do for that. But then there's also tons of other stuff, like, how do I put it? You know, after university, I'm going to have to be trying to figure out more of what career direction do I want to go in. Try and find some work in the meantime, how to boost my portfolio. All of these things are going to influence how much I can make videos and how polished they can be, how many, the quantity, the quality, the scope. And that's not wrong, that's not right, it's just how it is. And yeah, that's both really scary and also really exciting because there are some videos that I think I can really do some good stuff with this year. You saw the Millennium Tide video. That one is part of a OCT, which is basically a comic creating competition. I'm not sure if I'm going to get into that, and I'm not sure if I'll be continuing Molly's story, but you know, there's a chance. But then there's also just other video ideas that I've mentioned in previous videos. Uta video is one that has become not really a meme, but it's just something I feel like I've kind of become obligated to mention whenever I'm not uploading it. I'd love to do a video on Uta because she is a character who I've never seen any of the One Piece YouTubers talk about. Maybe because she's a film character, maybe they just don't like her. I don't know, but I think that Uta really deserves her flowers because she is an incredibly written character for an incredibly written movie, which also has some really bizarre parts. But you know, I'll see if I want to talk about that stuff because I do want it to be about Uta and not about Film Red. So yeah, there's that. There's a couple of other ideas that I've had too. The other one that instantly comes to mind is the video for Nights in the Wandering Castle's Snowy Sophia. Now, I am 100% aware that if I were to make that, it would not perform great. It is a niche webcomic for a character who appears in like chapter 8 or something. Like, yeah, I'm not expecting that video to do great. Oh shit, there's different wolves now? That's crazy. I'm not expecting it to do well, but that would be a video that I'm incredibly passionate for. Because she is such a cool character. And there's some speculation I want to give. And I don't know, I just think, wouldn't it be nice to just give more attention to underrated stories? Because, you know how I was saying, you know, certain series don't really have much of a scene in terms of video essays? Think about the stories which have basically never been talked about. Like, that's even less than other series. In terms of other video ideas that I've had, there's a couple that I mentioned in my November video, which I've not yet done. That's mainly just due to time and being preoccupied with other bits and pieces. But there's also the idea of a Kuma video for One Piece. Yeah, I know, a lot of One Piece in my future, it seems. I think that rereading Egghead will really solidify my feelings towards Kuma. But man, what a profound character that was. I really, really think that Kuma is one of the best written characters in the story because there's just so much to discuss there. Like the amount of heart and kindness in this man, despite everything he goes through. It's a great foil to Doflamingo. It's a great foil to Luffy. And, like, you really do get the sense that he tried to live his life in a way which fit the ideals that he was trying to uphold. But life kept drawing him a bad hand and kept just making him lose and making him not really have a good spot to be in. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that Kuma would be an awesome video essay topic. And yeah, I'll probably have more plans later on in the year, but those are like the ones that I have a big idea for. Okay, now time for some more of the reflective stuff. What was my best video and my worst video? Okay, I'm gonna get the worst video out of the way first because I think that this one's pretty clear, at least to me. I think it was the Owen video. It's tough because on one hand, I do like Owen. I really, really like Owen. I think he's a fascinating character. But I think I really kind of did a rush job on the video because I partly made it out of a joke because a friend of mine on Discord was like, I think they were just like, oh, you should make something about Owen. And I was like, alright, bet. And then I made a video about Owen. I don't know, it's not that any of the content in it is bad, I just think it's a bit more explainy, a little bit shorter than I would have liked. I don't think I did a great job when it came to the masking of Owen at the very beginning. In fairness, that was a tool I'd never used before. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on myself. But yeah, I felt like there was some missed potential there for considering just how interesting a guy he is. But yeah, my best video, that's a little harder. I think that the ones that I'm most proud of are the Kai, Viren, Aaron, Jellyfish, and the What I Watched video. I think that all of these, in some way, shape, or form, had a clear vision that I wanted to achieve. The Kai video, obviously, was my first one. The Viren video, that was a massive undertaking. I'd begun to really enjoy Viren's presence in the Dragon Prince, and I found it so fascinating because there was quite a lot for me to unpack there, but he wasn't a character that was readily understandable, I feel. Because, yeah, you can say, oh, he's vain, he's narcissistic, he's this, he's that, but it feels like the more you'd see of him, the more layers would get revealed about him. And yeah, I still stand by that video. I really like that video. Structuring it was a bit of a nightmare, but I ended up thinking that it would be easiest to kind of explore his desire to be loved and his desire for power. And I just think that he's just such a fascinating guy for how much screen time we get of him. I think he goes beyond just being a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. You can tell that this guy was one of the characters that the show was built around. And yeah, I feel like that video did basically as well as I feel it could have. It was my first time after the Kai video making a longer form video essay that was scripted, that was well edited, that I thought had the chance to really take off. And it didn't, but I'm okay with that. The jellyfish video I kind of made in just I don't really know how to describe it. I was just blown away by those first two episodes, and I was like, all right, I need to make a video about this. And yeah, within the span of I think maybe a day or two, I'd finished that video. So it was obviously fairly rushed in terms of how quickly I made it. It's about equivalent to the Owen video in that sense. But man, I had just a single-minded vision of I want to talk about what this show does right. I want to talk about it. I want to recommend it. And I want that very particular frame of Mahuru in front of the graffiti jellyfish wall as the thumbnail. And I wanted the title to be Keep Your Eyes on Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. And yeah, I really achieved that. I achieved that, and I'm really happy with it. I also think that it helps that a lot of the observations I made ended up kind of continuing to be proven true as the story went on. You know, the whole idea of forsaking being normal for the sake of being more like you. That is such a fundamental idea, and I'm really stoked that I actually managed to pick up on it because I think I didn't really realize how much I hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, so the jellyfish video was really good. What was the other one that I put down? Hold on, let me check my notes. Yeah, the what I watched and the Aaron video. Let's go with the Aaron video because I think that one was a weird one, but it was an idea that I think I needed to sort of put out because man, Aaron, incredible character. I love talking about him. Very excited to see where he goes in the future. But yeah, that one was a lot of learning about how to edit video footage and sort of give it that kind of CRT effect. But I also was very curious about, can I make a video essay with no music? What would that be like? How would it sound? And honestly, I don't know, it made me realize how much I like having, even if it's just subtle, some amount of background music. It can be a pain to edit background music. I feel like the volume sliders in DaVinci are a little inconsistent about how loud or quiet these things are. But that's okay. I like how that Aaron video turned out. It didn't do nearly as well as the Kai video, which I think is interesting. I don't know whether it was because it was shorter, because I made it at a bad time. I don't really know, but I still think that did incredibly well for what it was. And Ninjago fans always seem to turn up. Like, I don't know, like 3K views might not sound like a lot, but that is quite a few more than other ones that I've done. And yeah, I think that it was a nice job. I think that the video there was good. Oh, hello there, an armadillo. Oh, that's cute. So the final video I want to talk about is the what I watch, because I had the idea for that beginning gag and the little intro with Bug Fables music. I had that idea months ago. I heard the Spooder theme and I was like, shit, this would make for an awesome, absolutely awesome little that would make for an awesome little introduction to what I watched this year and have little icons of all the stuff I'd seen flying about. I just that and the beginning gag of just the room being on fire. I don't know what compelled me, but it just felt so funny to me. It was just an idea that I thought would be really, really fun. And I'm so glad that video turned out well. And I'm even more surprised at how considering it is basically an hour and 45 of me just rambling, I'm so surprised at how well it's been doing. And I'm really glad that people have enjoyed it. I enjoy making those videos. They're fairly low effort comparatively to other things. So yeah, I'm just really happy that people seem to enjoy that. So next up, I just want to talk about a little bit of the advice that I've got from, well, the kind of advice I've figured out from this period of doing YouTube. Because I think that there are definitely things that you can learn just by being on the platform, by making things every now and again. So I guess I'll just share this stuff. I don't really see if it's going to be useful, but hey, if I figured it, maybe someone else will. Maybe someone else will find it useful. So, first of all, one thing that I probably learned above all else is that YouTube really likes it when creators stick to a niche. I know this because I've actively tried not to do that. Oh wow, look at this. This looks awesome. So, most of the YouTubers that I tend to watch tend to have fairly... They seem to have fairly standardized content. They know what they make and they know what YouTube likes them making, so they stick to it. I think that's fine. I'm not trying to bash anyone for this, because I know some channels who are incredibly good at what they do. Incredibly, incredibly good. But at least for me personally, that feels like a bit of a suffocating way to treat what is basically a hobby. I think that, at least for me personally, there is this weird feeling of I don't really feel I want to just stick myself in a box, particularly if I don't think that would make me happy. Because, you know, sure, I could get more well-performing videos if I purely stuck to Ninjago stuff. That could have been a good way to start things. Maybe I should have used that momentum more. I don't really know. But at least for me personally, I think that I just felt like it wasn't right for me to not to sort of stick to a niche. I wanted to branch out. I wanted to try less scripted videos, and I'm really glad that I did, because yeah, I feel like experimenting with my video style was one of the biggest things that kind of taught me that I do like this mix of more structured and less structured, less edited videos. Maybe I'll end up splitting it into some other channel at some point where I have one for sort of these kind of videos and one for more edited videos, but at least for now, I'm treating this as a testing ground for just ideas, see what I make, just throw some stuff at the wall, see what sticks, what I like, what I don't like. Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. And yeah, I think that YouTube really wants the algorithm to kind of reward doing a certain thing. That's obviously not always the case, but for most YouTubers, if they have a thing, sticking to whatever that thing is pretty much the best way for you to have some amount of longevity. I think that there are definitely exceptions to this rule, like H-Bomber Guy, I think, is an example of someone who fundamentally keeps doing long-form video content, but who varies the subject matter so much that it does the kind of opposite, where it's so different that each of these things do well in their own way. But yeah, I also think that the opposite is true, that just because something works once doesn't mean it will work again. Take, for example, my Kai and my Aaron videos. Both of them were about Ninjago. Both of them had this similar sort of formats, but whether it was the differences between them or whether it was their similarities, they didn't do nearly as well. Maybe it was the context surrounding when they were made. I don't really know. But you can see what I mean, right? Like, this stuff is very, very particular. And yeah, I think that people really underestimate how much luck plays a factor into does your video get seen? You know, do things work out? Obviously, there are things that you can do to maximize your chances. You can make things really work in your favor, but at least for me personally, I feel like that element of luck is really, really prevalent. But I have been consistently getting a decent amount of views for each video, and I'm really happy about that. I'm really, really proud of that, and I'm really grateful. Um, yeah, was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah. Yeah, I suppose outside of all of that stuff I've mentioned, I guess I'll just sort of look at some of my videos and just talk a little. So, the Viren video is probably the one that I still feel is the one I experimented the most with the editing on. I don't really know why. I think that Witch Hat was probably the video where I really tried to strike out, tried to really learn Fusion in DaVinci, but I don't know. I think I really liked that video, and I also still love that thumbnail that got commissioned. Like, I don't know how people just make thumbnails like that. Go check out Lines in Motion's channel for that. Yeah, in terms of other stuff, I I don't know. I'm really, really grateful that in their own ways, each of my different videos have done well. Um, there were very few which I would straight up consider that video flopped. Um, Even things like the Witch Hat video, which only got about 180 views. I'm still really grateful for those people because it is a story that I think deserves so much more attention than it gets. And hey, if I'm the reason one person gets into Witch Hat, I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. Um, yeah. And I suppose I'm excited for next year. Yeah, I am excited. I do think that one thing I'd love to do is another one of those videos where I talk about Ninjago artists, or maybe I sort of reach out further, try and do some style studies. I don't know. I think a lot of what I've got this year was me marching to the beat of my own drum. And I think I can definitely push the boat out further in certain directions. I'm not going to pretend like I'll have videos out every week. That is just not feasible for me. I would get really burnt out on it. And maybe I do need to have a bit more quality control because I'm going to be entirely honest. I mainly just absolutely love having just making whatever the hell I want. Unfortunately, I do think that can kind of burn away the goodwill that some people might have. And I don't want to do that. I do want to try and make the best stuff I can. So, yeah, I guess I'll try my best. I'll see how things go, and yeah, suppose I'll see you next time. It's a lot less dramatic than I thought it would be.